So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, my name is Henry Mandere. I'm working with Minister of Industry, Trade and Tourism in Malawi, specifically the Department of ASMs and Cooperatives, and in particular the Cooperative Division. So my work is basically on cooperative promotion and development. So I want to present to you that topic, formalization of the ASM sector in Malawi. So that will be the outline. I will talk about the meaning of ASM formalization. Why is it important to formalize? And the collaboration that is between our ministry and the Department of Mines. And then we'll look at some of the efforts that we have made to facilitate the process of formalization. And then we'll look at some of the ASM organizational structures in Malawi. And then finally, we'll conclude. So I think the best way to start is to look at the meaning of the word formalization as it regards to the ASM sector. I'm privileged. I'm coming after Josh. I think he did a very good job in defining the word formalization. But perhaps what I'll do is just to add to what he already said. So basically, when we are talking about formalization, it's a process, meaning it's not a one-off thing. It's a continuous process. John indicated that formalization of the ASM may not take one day. It will take some time. So that should be born in our minds, that it's a process and it will take some time, but we don't have to give up. So it's a way of making the informal ASM sector become formal or operate within the legal framework, where we are seeing the ASM operators having requisite legal permits, requisite licenses for them to extract the minerals. It also entails that the ASMs will conform to all legal regulatory policy frameworks and mining practices. That's exactly what we mean by formalization. It also includes a process of creating an enabling environment. So that is also encompassed in the formalization process. As we said, it's a process, not just looking at it, let's form cooperatives. No, it's a process. So all these processes have to be done before we can say we have actually formalized our ASM sector. So it involves monitoring as well as enforcement of the rules and regulations in the mining sector. It takes on board the marginalized. Here we are looking at the marginalized miners, the communities. If we don't take on board those marginalized miners, there is no way we are going to formalize the ASM sector. Because as we said, it's a livelihood. Who doesn't want to exist? If I'm hungry today and I don't have any money, I'll find some ways to find money. And if people are mining, whether legally or illegally, I'll also do the same. So if we don't take on board the marginalized miners, then definitely our efforts to formalize will be in vain. So why is it important to formalize? There are so many reasons, but some of the main reasons include if we harness the ASM operations very well, there is potential for that sector to create jobs. There is potential for that sector to enhance the livelihoods. There is potential for that sector to enhance the income levels of the communities. That way, we are also addressing the issues of poverty. Formalization also encourages inclusive participation. You are aware that about 80% of our population is in the rural areas, and most of them engaged in smallholder farming, subsistence farming. The ASM sector, if formalized, will encourage these people who are mainly engaged in subsistence farming to become productive to the economy. And I was interested to know that nobody here knows how many are engaged in the ASM sector. I like to call it ASM sector. It's easier, not ASM. It's too long. The ASM sector. How many do we have in Malawi? I think it's debatable. If you look in the draft, what I indicated there, I indicated a range between 22 and 40,000. The interesting thing is that when when he was presenting, he indicated the 40,000 as statistics that he got and from 2018. And when Michelle was presenting, she did indicate 40,000, but she was quoting 201. And the interesting thing, if you look at the draft, the statistics that I quoted is very interesting. The economic report of 2015 quotes 22,000. That's 2015. But Dr. Kamlongera, in 2011, he quotes 40,000. So you can see that we don't have the actual figures. So putting a question mark, as Michelle did, is, I think, the right way to go. So, but what I want to say is, if we cannot formalize the ASM sector, it will be very difficult to have that kind of statistics. Because the ASM is very, in terms of figures, the figures are very volatile. Today they are there, tomorrow they are not there. And with this gold rush, definitely the figures have to go up, even beyond the 40,000 that we are talking about today. So it will be easier for government to get statistics, and that statistics will guide government in terms of policy direction. So what are the two ministries doing? The collaboration that is there between the Department of Mines and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism through the Department of SMEs and Cooperatives. So our collaboration is mainly centering or focusing on formalization through the formation of cooperative societies. So the Department of Mines takes the responsibility of community mobilization, because we as officials from Ministry of Trade may not know where the mines are, and we may not know where the people are. So it takes the Department of Mines to mobilize the ASM miners. After the mobilization, that's when we come together and strategize in terms of the way forward. So what we do is we take the charge to train, first to sensitize the communities that have been mobilized, for them to understand the importance of forming cooperatives. After that, then we undertake the trainings. And the basic training that we provide is what we call cooperative member education. The reason for this, the aim for this training is to make sure that before they can be registered, they understand the cooperative concept, because cooperatives are business entities. But the business model is very different from the conventional business models that we have. The business model of a cooperative is very, very unique, and therefore they have to understand. And the Department of Mines ensures that all the necessary requirements for the ASM licensing is fulfilled or is done through provision of guidance. So we work together. We provide the cooperative training, and then they provide the necessary guidance in terms of what is required for them to be licensed. So the efforts as of today that we have undertaken in Malawi include the sensitization on benefits of cooperatives to the communities that we have done. The two departments are also providing technical assistance in form of training in cooperative management, including leadership. And you are aware that the Department of Mines has a specific section designated for ASM promotion. That's a plus, because there is focus on ASM development. The ASM policy, to address the challenges and issues affecting the ASM, you will recall that the director indicated that it has been approved. I think it was in June, July, somewhere there. I think in the draft I indicated it was before that, so it indicated that we have a draft, so that would have to be reviewed. So those are some of the efforts that we have done. Meanwhile, we are still training groups that we have mobilized. Mr. Piri indicated that we have since mobilized and trained 14 groups, an average of 20 per group, which is quite a substantial number of ASM operators. And I must say, in Malawi, we currently have 9 mining cooperatives, and they are basically mostly in gemstone, gypsum, limestone. In terms of organizational structures in Malawi, we have cooperative societies, we have associations, we have partnerships, and we also have sole miners. These sole miners could be operating using a business name or their natural, their given names. So as long as you are not using a given name, the law requires that you register your business name with the Registrar General's office. So these are the structures that are available in Malawi. But we are saying we want to formalize. But the way to go, we are saying through cooperatives. So perhaps let's understand what a cooperative is all about. Because maybe from there we can be saying, I think this is the way to go. By definition, I am quoting the Cooperative Societies Act of 1998, the Malawi Cooperative Societies Act of 1998. And this definition is not very different from the universal definition, which is normally advocated by the International Cooperative Alliance. You find that the issues within that definition are almost similar. So the Act defines a cooperative as an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic and social needs in accordance with cooperative principles through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. So normally when I'm teaching this definition, I take the whole day. But today I think I'll take just a few minutes. Why do I take the whole day? Well, that's the basis of understanding a cooperative society. Within that definition, there are so many things that we need to understand. There is autonomy. So cooperatives are independent. They make their own decisions. They are member-owned. They are directed and democratically controlled by the members. There is voluntary membership within cooperative societies, so it's not by force. And there I must say, we are not going to force the ASMs to join a cooperative, because that would be against the law, and that would also be against the principles. But there are ways that we can borrow from other sectors what they have done. For example, here in Malawi we have challenges in the forestry sector. So what the forestry sector has said, noting that from our act, the Cooperative Act, is voluntary. So what they are saying is, in their policy, they have said, if you want to cut timber for milling, you must belong to a cooperative society. So if you don't belong to a cooperative society, there is no way you are going to cut timber. That has assisted the forestry department to address some of the challenges that they've been facing. They are following the regulations, they are following the rules, they are replanting the trees, because the trees are given to a cooperative. And then the cooperative now distributes those trees to its members only. So this is I think something that we could borrow in the ASM sector. If you want to mine, perhaps you should belong to a cooperative society. So if it comes to licensing, who should get the license? Not the individual, but the cooperative society. I know some of our mining cooperatives, individuals have licenses, which I think it's subject for discussion. But the best is to license the cooperative, and then the cooperative manages the mines. We are also saying that within the definition, they're saying cooperatives operate within its universal principles. So within those principles, there are issues of open and voluntary membership, meaning that if you have a cooperative, membership is open. So as long as you want to join and you have fulfilled all the requirements of being a member to that cooperative, then you can join. So there is no limitation in terms of membership. The cooperative societies are registered under the Cooperative Societies Act by the Registrar of Cooperative Societies in the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism. And as I said, currently we have 9 mining cooperatives, mainly engaged in gemstone, gypsum, and limestone. I also indicated that currently we have trained 14 groups. We are just waiting for submission of applications for certification for them to become cooperatives. The training that we provide is not a guarantee that they'll be given a cooperative certificate. So normally after the training, we give them a little time for them to sit down and discuss and make a final decision whether they want to be a cooperative or not. Because as I said, it's voluntary, it's not by force. Why cooperatives? What are some of the advantages of a cooperative society? I think it's the advantages stem from the objectives of a cooperative society. A cooperative is a business entity, but as I said, the business model is quite unique. One of its uniqueness is that a cooperative, we normally say, does not make a profit. Rather, it's the members who make profits. So the objective of a cooperative is to ensure that its members are winning and not the cooperative. So how do they win? By providing the necessary services to the cooperative society. What services? Quite a number of them. Marketing, extension services, financing. All those services are to be given, to be provided by the cooperative society. But apart from that, specific objectives, I'll just pick a few, the ones that I have highlighted in red. The first one, I think, what we should understand is that the overall powers of a cooperative society are vested within the membership. So the members have all the powers to direct the affairs of a cooperative society. And through the cooperative, weaker members who are normally prone to exploitation by middlemen are protected. Ideally, a cooperative is supposed to be the first market for its members. So if you are mining, your market should be a cooperative society. That's where you sell your stones. You don't sell to vendors. You sell your stones to your cooperative. Now, how do you sell to your cooperative if your cooperative doesn't have enough financial mass? This is an area that cooperatives need to address. And this is why we are saying cooperatives should be open to members, because the more members you have, the more financial muscle you have, as long as members buy shares. So membership in a cooperative is by shareholding. And shareholding within a cooperative has no limitation. Although we say in Malawi, according to the law, one member should not hold more than 20% of the share capital. But as long as the members are buying, your limit also goes up. So normally we say there is no limitation. What are the advantages? There is also information and skills sharing within a cooperative. So in this sector, there is a high requirement for information as well as skills. The goodness with the cooperative is that those skills and the information is shared amongst the members. An individual is easily cheated. If you have a 1 kg of gold and then a buyer comes and meets you, it will be very easy for you to be cheated. But if the buyer is coming to buy that from a cooperative, the chances of exploitation are very, very limited. And the cooperatives are also founded on the basic cooperative philosophy of self-help and mutual help. So in a cooperative, they are each other's keeper. So that means it's very easy to manage an ASM mining sector through a cooperative society, because each member of that cooperative society is keeping an eye on a fellow member. So there's no way that a member can do things contrary to the regulations or the rules of mining, because they are each other's keeper. They are self-policing. Yeah, so these are some of the advantages of a cooperative society. Perhaps that's why government is saying, let's formalize the ASM sector through cooperative societies. There are so many advantages of a cooperative society, but I just wanted to pick a few. We also have associations. By definition, an association is where you have two or more people or body corporates coming together with a common understanding. Normally, associations are formed to advance the interests of its members. Specifically, I normally call it a mouthpiece of its members. That's the specific role of an association. It is registered under, in Malawi, it is registered under the Trustees Act. It's not registered under the Association Act because we don't have an Association Act in Malawi. It's registered under the Trustees Act, which means an association doesn't have a specific act. It uses a borrowed act. In courts, I could call it a trust. It is actually a trust, and it's managed by trustees. So that's why normally associations, the members do not have the supreme powers. The supreme powers are vested within the trustees. You may have the leadership, the presidents, the chairmen, but supreme powers are vested within the trustees. So normally what happens is an association, the membership, each one individually, like in the ASM sector, then we are saying we have individual ASM operators who are licensed miners. This is the scenario where we are in. We have individual licensed miners. So what happens? Let's assume we have 1,000, 40,000 licensed, and these belong to, they are members of an association. It may be difficult to manage. It may be difficult to manage. Unlike in a cooperative, because our contact point as government is the cooperative society. And then through the cooperative society, it's very possible and very easy to manage the individual members of the cooperative society. So as I said, the major role of associations is advocacy. Legally, associations are not business entities, although they do business. But legally, they are not business entities. They are advocacy entities. So we have in Malawi, Mawima, and the representatives are here. We also have the Gemstone Association of Malawi. And some of the advantages of the associations include the provision of networking opportunities to its members. And they also share human and capital resources and information that may advance the interests of the members. And as a mouthpiece for its members, associations provide collective voice to lobby and advocate and promulgate the interests of its members. Lobbying government, lobbying for policy changes, policy directions. That's basically the role of associations. We also have partnerships where you have maybe two or more doing business together, but using a registered business name that is registered under by the registrar of business names. So they have their constitutions, but this one is not very common in Malawi, I think, and within the ASM sector. This one is not very common. But the most common one, and this is the advantage of partnership, but I think we can skip that one. The most common is the sole proprietor. And that's where our challenge is. The ASMs, the ASM operators, they are mostly in this category. They are sole proprietors, and most of them are operating without any requisite permits. So as I said, the law permits licensing to a sole proprietor as long as he complies with all the legal requirements. And if you want to use a business name, then you have to be registered. But as I said, if we have 1 million sole proprietors in the ASM sector, then we have a challenge of managing them. So that's why the best we are saying, let's formalize through cooperative societies, because it's easier. We have a contact point, and it's very easy to reprimand a cooperative society than to reprimand individual ASM operator. So these are some of the advantages of sole proprietorship, but I think they are not very important in this case. We are saying decision making is fast because it's an individual making a decision. You just decide today, I'll start mining. Where do I get the funding, the financing? I'll borrow from friends. I'll go to a bank. Decision making is very easy. Yeah, I think I need to conclude now. We've been talking formalization, formalization, formalization. And I think what is coming out is that the ASM sector is here to stay. And if we want to ignore it, abandon it, or suppress it, we may not manage. And I can assure you, we will not manage to suppress it. It is here to stay. So the best way forward, in conclusion, is formalization. And that's the answer to addressing the challenges that we are facing with the ASM sector. Yeah, on that note, let me thank you so much for listening.